You already know what it is. It's your boy Chance. Kenny's here. Mike's, I guess, here with us in spirit. He's got the screensaver finally. 2022. I don't know if it's 2022 yet. It depends on the episode, but it's going to be a little year in review. You know what I'm saying? Check out the live episode. We did it. You know what I'm saying? It's on there. But we talked about the best moments in wrestling in 2021. So go back and check that out. We're not going to redo that. But we are going to talk about the destruction of NXT. Can it be saved? Can WWE be saved? What we would do better in AEW for next year. Maybe we'll touch on Impact, Ring of Honor, or wherever else we go. I don't know. It depends on where time lets us go. But, if you're seeing this, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Make sure you like, subscribe, all the goodish. Hit the bell. Get notified. Help us with the algorithm. We got merch all day. Kenny supports other people, but it's cool. But we got merch all day. It's in the description box. Go get that. This is how we live. I'm trying to get these dues paid this year. Let's go. But let's continue with the conversation we had on live. Where NXT went wrong.
It went wrong a lot of places. So I'm gonna say wrongest was not just dying. Like if it would have just NXT already had enough slip ups, but we could have appreciated what we had separately. Had its name, it had its time in the sun, and then what we have now is what we have. Like if you think about it. WWE bought everything. If you want to go watch some WCW stuff, you could go watch it. If you want to go watch some ECW, some Evolve even now, because they bought those tapes up, maybe Ring of Honor, we don't know where that's fucking going. All those, everyone Vince went and bought, he got the tapes that they kept, and you could go on the WWE Network or now on Peacock, depending on where you live. If you're watching this in the UK, it's obviously you still got a network. You lucky because Peacock sucks. If you go on Peacock, type in anything. You can watch every SummerSlam there's ever been, anything now. If that's the case, we could just let NXT be done. You go on Peacock, you search NXT, you can watch anything from 2013 to Prime 2014, 15, Golden Eye to what up into the little bit that was you just had that was kind of garbage, whatever. And then we could have had this new thing is on TV with its own name and it's on TV weekly on Wednesdays every week. On Tuesdays every week, my bad. On Wednesday that word's died. Tuesday every week. And then that would have been fine. But then what you did was you made NXT 2.0. It's really like NXT 4.0 because you had the game show and then you had the golden age. Then you had what you just had and now you have what you have now. So that's really 4.0, but we call it 2.0. It's not 2.0 because it's nothing like NXT. The only similarities is you have some of the old people, but y'all don't bring in so many new people anyway. You don't even need to mention
I feel like they made it a point to make the new people beat the old people.
Oh, they definitely did. There's like Tommaso Ciampa gonna be the only old person to shine. Johnny Wrestling will get his goodbye, but other than that, 2.0 got nothing to do with the last NXT besides the fact that it's NXT 2.0. That's not how 1.0s and 2, like when they make a new iOS, they don't scrap everything from the last one. They build on it.
And make it worse.
That too. So I don't understand what that.
I wish iPhone would upgrade and make it worse.
No, they just don't give you what you need in the beginning. So what iPhone does is they're behind Androids. So they know we're going to be dumb enough to keep buying them. So they'll just add what Androids already have. So yeah, they're always behind. That's the difference. That's what WWE should have did.
I mean, we're here. Let's talk about let's start with NXT. Can NXT be saved? Like it clearly, like the question we asked on the live was, should they change the name? I think they should definitely change the name, because I feel like you're just going to disrespect, unless you're going to go crazy and make it better, which I don't really see that happening. You're just disrespecting the old greats that we had at NXT, the Finn Balor's, the Samoa Joes, the Drew McIntyres, the Adam Cole reigns, like fucking Andrade's, like those reigns were crazy. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and scrap it. Let's call it something else. We got Smack, we got Raw down. We got Smack down, we got Raw. Like, I don't know what they're gonna go through the archives and see what you can come up with, but it ain't NXT and it ain't NXT 2.0, so we need something new.
I mean, they should change it, but they're not gonna change it because it's already NXT 2.0. So you might as well throw that out the window. Like, no way, no chance that they're changing it. They doing 2.0 now, so it can eventually just be known as NXT. Because I don't think
they're gonna do it again. I mean, they take last names and first names off of people all the time. We got rid of
so it's just gonna be
I'm not shocked that that's gonna happen. It only just makes this more pointless because then you could have just made it. What was the rebrand for? Just change stuff and say we changed some stuff.
See, that's what should have happened. And the only way to make NXT better is to go back. Like, is to, again, if for me, I don't think it's going back. Like, changing it and making it better, two different things. What they're trying to do is so they can indie circuit, right? They already have this combine place where they go and they have wrestlers come in and they perform and they sign to contracts, right? Well, what they have to do is basically do what they was doing NXT, but just, wipe any idea, of the fact that, okay, well, these are actually wrestlers, but give us characters. Allow us to watch them grow on TV and give us legit storylines, but it has to be with these new up and coming characters, because it was going to be like college, right? Like it was going to be like, NCAA, right? You get to watch prospects for 2 or 3 years and then they move up to the main roster. But you can't always have that. But if that's what they're trying to do, they need to do it that way. Where if they're going to have new people come, they have to get other people to go to the main roster, but they have to make sure they build those new characters up for 2 years in the performance center. Move them to NXT, they have them perform 2 to 3 years plus there. That's how it should be. It's indie.
I think a major proponent of NXT going wrong is call-ups going wrong. I think them calling it a developmental and all this stuff, it's in your head that, oh man, they're really good now. They're gonna do even better when they get called up, because that's what the idea. If you're gonna continue your college sports analogy, every once in a while you get a Jamarcus Russell, you get a not so good person who was pretty good in college doing not so good in NFL. But for every one of those, you got people who were either anonymous in college and are really good now, or were really good then and continue to be really good, like Lamar Jackson and stuff like that. Like you if you had some of them, but we don't have what's a successful. If you look at the last 5 call-ups, what are we gonna call what? Basically just Matt Riddle. I don't even know, because Rhea Ripley didn't go well. Bianca Belair, it's okay. I know.
Well, Bianca, you have to give
a fan than us, but it depends.
You have to give Bianca Belair, to your point, but it is though. Like if you want to say a successful call up, somebody who main evented, who consistently main evented, who's always in storylines, for better or for worse, right? Maybe you don't like her storylines, but at the end of the day, she's being booked correctly, way better than Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley would be the fail. Rhea Ripley would be I'm saying those are I think around the same exact time. Then you got Riddle, and maybe you could call that a success. I wouldn't, but it's
so I think the last one will be Drew.
That's going really far back.
But, yeah, exactly. No, that's very far back. Point. The most recent ones would be
because the most recent ones we don't agree on, but we can all firmly agree on Drew.
I'm about to say Carlito,
and that was years ago.
What's his name? And the one that's with Vince now. Like he's the most recent, if I'm not mistaken, because he went back. He was on the main roster.
Oh no, that doesn't count because he got caught up before.
Oh, so you're not if he got caught up, went back, and then got caught up again. No. Oh, okay, so then
he wasn't put down for wrestling or TV reasons. He was put down for off-screen reasons because the speaking out thing, and again they never even clarified that. So if I was mad about it, speaking out thing, I'm still mad about it, which I am one of those people who are mad about those type of things. But again, I've talked about enough about giving Darby Allin credit on here. He's named as speaking out. There's plenty of people on AEW who've been named speaking out, and I give them credit. So I'm not going to start re-bringing up speaking out right now. But that is why Austin Theory left TV, not because he was doing anything wrong. It was 2 things. It was 1, the speaking out. 2, Zelina Vega's stable was arguably the worst stable in WWE history, and not because of who was in the stable, but because of its booking. Yes,
I'll tell you why it's not arguably the worst. Because if you think about some of the worst, one of the top names would be Retribution, right? Okay. I don't think, and if you start naming off, I'm trying to think of some other bad stables, throughout history. I don't think it's one of the worst. I just think it was just stale. I don't think it was one of the worst. I just think it didn't.
I'm saying when I say worse, I mean the way it's booked. Because yes, Retribution was really bad. Everything about it was a fail. But the thing about it is who was in it. Like if we're being objective here,
Ali.
Besides Ali, the best person besides Ali who's in it. First of all, they put everyone in a mask. They never even said they were the people they were before. But knowing, not me being me, I know who was in the stable. The only person who was good besides Ali who was in it would be Mercedes Martinez, and she immediately left. Like she was literally only part of Retribution for 1 episode. And I'm talking about back when it was on Raw and SmackDown. She was only on the 1 Raw, and that was it. Bam. So when you compare it to Zelina Vega's stable, Zelina Vega, great talker. I wouldn't say underrated in the ring, but not completely garbage. Austin Theory, Angel Garza, and Andrade. Look at who's here.
Doing it based on, because I would argue the stable, and again to your point, like if you said one of versus because of the names, because the one with who was it? It was Sheamus. It was Wade Barrett, and it was like a couple of guys. There was like this
like League of Nations.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's
Like League of Nations.
League of Nations. Okay, so then the thing is, so to your point, if you're doing it based on the talent that's in there, and then the fact that they wasn't successful, then yeah, then I
it's not
that.
just okay, y'all. Remember those,
Yeah.
that was also a funny stable. So Xenovegas stable was supposed to be serious. They were supposed to, and they were always losing. Like that thing, like if you, I'm mixing what they achieved, who their characters are supposed to be, and who was in it. That's the difference between like Core.
No, I'll give you that.
Core achieved nothing. Core achieved nothing, but they're supposed to be funny. Like there are plenty of stables I could name that didn't do shit, but they weren't supposed to do anything. That's the difference.
Well,
League of
that's what I'm saying. Like if you
League of Nations to you might have been important because of
the name.
Yes, but I also know this is Vince. It's League of Nations. None of these people are American. This is not. They can't succeed because he won't let them. That's not what's going to happen. I never expected them to succeed, even knowing who was in the stable. Like people talk about all the time. Sheamus is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. I don't think that's the most true. It's not that he's bad, but it's like I think he does get his flowers. He achieved what he can achieve with all the things you know. Yes, you could say, oh yeah, Vince like him and all this other stuff. He's still not the biggest. He's still really pale. He's not like you. Like if you see Sheamus in public, you'd be like, "Oh, damn, it's Sheamus," because you know Sheamus. Remember Vince's thing. He wants you to be able to walk through the airport, see a wrestler, and be like, "That's a wrestler," not because you actually know the character, but because he's fucking massive. So again, that's why I think that's the distinction for me, which what makes. And I did say arguably, which is what we're doing now, arguing. Again, it's arguably one of the worst stables because look who's in it. Achieved nothing, and what was their purpose? Their purpose couldn't have been to be a banter or a funny stable because none of them were funny. Besides Angel Garza ripping his pants off. None of them.
That's not really funny. It's more of a.
While we on the topic, why was Austin Theory in that stable when it was 3 Hispanics in Austin Theory?
Was it WWE?
So and then they kicked him out, and then he just came up.
Because of injury. That. It was an injury, like something happened, if I'm not mistaken. Like somebody got hurt.
No, they beat him down. They beat him
because he was never. So what happened is Angel Garza ended up getting hurt, and then they brought Austin Theory, and then
no. You get it wrong. They kicked out Austin Theory, and then Angel Garza got hurt on live TV.
Oh, sure. So it was Austin Theory first.
Yes,
that's the Mandela effect. So Austin Theory first, actually. Oh wow, that doesn't make sense.
I kicked him off, and he didn't go immediately back to NXT. He was off TV for a while again because of speaking out stuff, which is really weird because he's the only person who's off TV because never took Riddle off TV. So that is whatever the fuck that is. He was Riddle, and he loved. Riddle's story was way bigger though, which is weird.
Yeah, I know it was terrible.
Well, I wasn't there. I don't know what's true or not, but supposedly Riddle was proven it was proven that the girl was lying or some shit. I don't know, but supposedly he had a better case.
I think the whole idea of a better case again. I like to believe victims, but I wasn't there, like you said. But I think the whole better case is at least because because WWE announced they had internal investigations, like they're better than the police or something. But the biggest thing is Riddle admitted it. He said, "Yes, I cheated on my wife, but I did not assault that woman." I think that's like everyone else just straight up denied. Riddle said, "No, this happened, but this is what it is," and so that's what made the difference. Every other speaking out thing. I think that's what the key difference for Riddle's case compared to other people. But as far as NXT being fixed, names change not happening. I mean, they probably change it back to NXT from 2.0. Besides that, I think we should move on. SmackDown is what it is. It's just Roman show.
Right, so hold on real quick. The only way that NXT can get better for me is if Hunter takes it back, or if they let Sean run with it, because Vince loves Sean. Because Sean pretty much kind of shares the same brain with Triple H. No shade, but they've been together for so long, and I'm pretty sure Hunter, some of his ideas went into Sean, and Sean is Sean, so that's one. And then they changed the name, maybe call it NXT. Get the 2 out. You know what I mean?
So you do get the F out like they did back in the day,
and then we'll go from there. But
that's a pay-per-view name.
Let's go to Raw because SmackDown I don't really think it has much to change except the obvious, but let's go to Raw. Raw seems to be hurting.
Cut it down to 2 hours. That's numerous.
Okay, wait. Okay. If we go just keep saying stuff that we think should happen, we know that gonna happen. We're gonna be here all day.
Okay, fine. I'm not gonna do the 2 hours. Okay,
we said how we think can fix it. How we think that
forget the 2 hours. Okay, so forget 2 hours.
It has to be 2 hours because 3 hours I'd be like, come on, bro, I can't. I legitimately
agree with you. I'm just saying I thought we was trying to be a little realistic. If I watch an hour of commercials,
if I watch Raw, which I do not, I legitimately watched the first 10 minutes because they always have to do some kind of conversation promo. So I watch that to see who's saying what, and then I'll come to the last 15 minutes to see exactly what match is happening. That's it.
So, in my opinion, Yes, I mean, actually, I want to briefly touch on this since we mentioned cutting it down. Some people are mentioning, since AEW is moving to TBS, should it be 3 hours? No. Make Dynamite, keep Dynamite 2 hours. Maybe make Rampage 2 hours. That's the only thing I'll accept. Do not make Dynamite 3 hours, please, God, no. Okay, back to Raw. Thing about Raw is the fact that and you are correct. The formatting of a 3-hour show is terrible. It's always going to start with welcome to Monday Night Raw, whoever the fuck it is this week, promo train, interruption, and set up the main event, which why weren't they set up before? This is a wrestling promotion. You should be promoting the main event the week before. Like the fact that when you watch SmackDown, mostly, but sometimes Raw, I guess, and they mention NXT, this one thing NXT has over the other two, usually, but still not all the time, is they can promote the main event because they already know what it's going to be. With Raw, and a lot of times SmackDown, but mostly Raw, you can't do that. On SmackDown, if you see a Raw commercial, it's basically gibberish now because you are promised things that might not be on there, and the things that you aren't promised, just like, okay, what I didn't learn shit from that commercial just now. Like, honestly, I can remember way more SmackDown commercials on, like, when I'm watching football or something compared to a Raw. Like, when they promote Raw, they don't promote. It's literally just images of past Raw. It's not, oh, this is what's happening next week, which is a failure in my opinion. So promote, plan for the future. That would make Raw better. Stop doing the same format of promo train, blah, 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 blah. Main event, not set up now. That's got to go. And wrestle some more because the backstage segments are terrible. Put some more wrestling on the damn show. It's already long. Put more matches. Put people we don't see all the time. That's what you got. You had a big ass roster for.
I got two questions. One, actually, I got one question and one statement. The statement first is, the funny thing is, I remember when they said that Raw and SmackDown were going to be separate, but then we started seeing, like you said, the Raw commercials on SmackDown commercials on Raw. Made no sense. That's one. So they need to figure out what they're doing. That's one. Two, the fact that everyone's fired and everyone's leaving, and there's only maybe 10 people that we watch, should they end the brand split?
I think the brand split ending would tremendously help Raw more than SmackDown, both SmackDown and Raw. But again, I think as long as we have the type of booking we have now, it might actually be better not to. Because if they had so much more moving parts to worry about, they'd only do worse. So, if we're assuming that booking is going to improve as well as in the, okay, yeah. But again, I'm never going to assume that, so I always lean towards the negative. I thought a brand split should end. Again, I say this all the time. Judge is the only person to disagree with me. Really, the Survivor Series is a top tier idea between the way they used to do it, and even if you did a Raw versus SmackDown, if you had the right idea going, but. If it's just, oh, we're Raw, we're SmackDown, there's nothing to win for. It's just Raw versus SmackDown. Okay, man. Like, it's like, oh, if Team Raw, the last survivor on Team SmackDown gets a title shot, some stuff like that. Okay, but none of that exists. There's no parity. There's nothing. So yeah, in the brand, might as well. And stop doing drafts every year if you don't end it, because people would literally move. They want to. Okay, you're on the show this year. You get to stay this time. But for the most part, if you look at the past 5 drafts, everyone's been on both brands by this point. I can't think of anyone who hasn't switched brands in the last 3 years. So what's the point of the draft? That's not how drafts work. It's dumb.
I mean, I think Mike's still here, but I legitimately think that the brand should end only because, like I said, we don't really have much talent anymore. So what's the point? Like, we don't need that many belts. We don't need that many. And then all the way that you're booking shit, you might as well just try to stretch it out with different days, because that booking.
Now that you mentioned it, if they're in the brand split, unify the tag team belts, because we don't need 2 tag team belts. We don't got that many tag teams.
They don't like tag teams anyway.
Yeah, you are exactly. It'll enhance if you have all the tag teams in one division. You could put more of that on Raw. Raw is longer, so do that. There's just so many things you could do if you're in the brand split. And if you,
I'm gonna cut you off, but that's what I said. I'm like, if they need, what they should do is move a particular like, let's say, like, if you want to see women wrestling, just only tune into Raw. If you want to see tag teams, only tune into SmackDown. So you split those 2 things, like those 2 novelties, on 2 different shows.
Problem with that is, if you split it up completely, then again you're gonna have people who are, there are people. This is if you look at the demographics of Raw, is old dudes watching. They gonna turn off when that women's segment come off. Like,
so then you do it. Then you do it the other way around though. Like,
but not the other way around. I'm saying more like. That's why I said
I don't believe they should end the brand split though, because I get what y'all saying. Like, y'all saying this remember, Ken, you said this. They have more than enough people on the roster to have a brand split. They don't have enough people on TV that warrants a brand split. So you just book people differently. Like the brand split is not the problem. That's not the issue.
That's what I said. I said, are we assuming the bookings are going to improve? Because I don't think it will. But I'm
saying, well, that's
talking about that. This is what we could do. This is what we could do.
Yeah, even if you brand split, like it's not okay. First, let's just nip this in the bud. It all starts with improved booking. So let's just say that goes without saying. So now let's just assume that booking would be improved. I think that they have enough top tier talent to have a brand split. They have mid card talent to have a brand split, and they have two different novelties to have a brand split. Tag team, like I said, they hate, and then the championship. And when I call them novelties, because they're not part of the two. It's not people on a particular roster to do, you know, one or the other, right? They have probably 15 women total on a roster. Like, you know, who we couldn't. Yeah, I think 15 total, right? Like we could probably name off every single last female on Raw or SmackDown, and the total would probably be about 15.
I mean, I'll probably just name the past couple women's champions, and then I'll probably get past that.
No, you only get like 4. You're only gonna get 4. So it's Christmas, and y'all can't tell. Like people are opening up gifts, so it's getting crazy.
And the women are the same women: Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, and then add 3 new ones:
and then Natalia,
Rhea, Bianca, and Toni Storm. Now that's it. Everyone else is there, but they don't.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even if you name it's not on TV, it's still only 15 total. So I'm saying it is a novelty. Like I get what you're saying, Kenny. Like I'm saying, booking. We put booking aside. If you split up tag teams versus women, you give the shows 2 distinctive things to watch because
I'm not saying you're wrong for that.
I know. I'm saying
if you blatantly say it's gonna be on this, it's gonna be on that, it's gonna be a problem. I think you should.
I know.
You should notice that you put more of one on the other, and we should like, oh damn, there's considerable. I mean, again, Raw is longer. But like, if you put more women's matches on Raw, and then we see more tag teams, if we notice, okay, if you say it, and if you only put it on one or the other, then it's gonna be another problem. Because you talk about that with Rampage, they'd be like, "Oh, should Jade Cargill be like the queen of Rampage?" Or something like it's our show. Well,
that's different.
I'm like, that'd be a problem.
Yeah. No, that's definitely different.
All right, so let me ask you a question, guys. You think this works? If they don't do the brand split, right? Let me finish before you jump in. Let's say we just have one belt for everything: US, IC, Tag, Women's, and Men. The only way we get people on different programs is not a draft, but if someone want to go for the US belt, then they're going to go wherever the US belt is at and start their program. Or that US champ on SmackDown is going to get bored of the dudes over there, but yo, I'll be back. I'm going to Raw or NXT real quick. I'm about to go start some shit because I ain't feeling nothing over here right now.
That's more of an angle. I think that will only work with certain characters. I'll give you an example. That's not a bad idea. I think it would still have to, like you said, keeping the brand split, it would have to be a particular character who's powerful and strong enough in a sense. Let's say a Cesaro, right? This dude has been so dominant on SmackDown as a United States. Like, you know what? I ran through everybody in the roster. I'm out. You have to create an angle. Like that's an angle in and of itself. What you did was you kept the brand split. But you said instead of a draft, I'm like, you still keep the draft, but like Kenny said, don't have it every other year. Make stuff interesting. When you have teams who are making, I hate to compare it to like leagues, but because it's only brands, people trade and people like, you know, get like create not fired angles, but trades like, look, you know, so and so, you know, quote unquote fake contracts, right? Like, you know, you've been on NXT, you've been on Raw for this, you know, this many years, you accomplished this. Like, let's get them a fresh start, not on TV, not an angle, but just have them pop up on another show and like, okay, well, they're getting used differently because obviously we can't as writers, you know, use them here. Let's just swap things every 2 years, every year and a half. I have a draft, but obviously the champions never change. I don't believe in that changing the titles. They need to fight for the titles, or they need to fight. If you're going to have a draft, you know, one champion's going to one, the other one. Don't do a championship swap. I create an angle out of it. And I think that's the way you can do, like a combination of everything we did. I think will make it a lot more interesting.
I mean, we've seen it work. They did well. It worked for some people. Some people hated it, but you know that's wrestling. When the women's tag team belts were all 3 brands, now I think that was a good idea. Even though
that was a novelty. Yeah.
Even then, they didn't really defend it too much on NXT. But when they did, you know, when Sasha and Bailey had it, that was, and they went, and then we had Charlotte go on all 3 shows for a while. Some people really, really hated it. Some people really, really liked it. So I think we've seen champions moving work. But again, it goes back to who is it? Like you said, it's not everyone who can do that. And what's the context? So,
yeah, funny to me, I agree.
What's funny to me is they're very impatient with good ideas, and they would drag the shit out of a horrible idea.
Yep.
Because, like you said, with the titles, with the tag team going on 3 different shows, I thought that was fire. Maybe some people didn't, but if they kept on going with it, it would have became something. And just like Charlotte going from show to show, maybe you didn't like it because maybe you just don't like Charlotte, but I thought it was fire. And the fact that it is Charlotte means whoever she is wrestling, she's going to bring them up.
But yeah, to your point, with the Bailey and Sasha thing, they literally, again, they didn't do it enough. And then when they did go on all 3 shows, that was right before they decided, let's give NXT their own women's tag team. What?
Which was, that was the dumbest thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they had 2 people that were just absolutely phenomenal, Bailey and Charlotte, right? Like, people that Bailey and Sasha, that who you can have travel to different places and, across 3 bands. Because again, since that was to not make it feel, I guess where it's like contrite, like to not make the women's tag teams feel exactly what it is right now, which is contrite is just there just to be there. It felt like something like, hey, we're tag teams and we have so many women on the roster that you could develop these tag teams, and then you can't just fight on one particular brand because you don't have enough, so you have to travel. That was one of the only traveling titles. I think not every title should be that though. I think it worked for the women's because of what it was, and it did stop it from being super contrite, and I think that's what really helped it kind of stand out until they stopped. Because they started breaking up women tag teams like Billy and Kay, right? Like it was Billy and Kay, right? I'm right, or was it whatever? The Iconics. Right. Okay, so they like broke up Iconics, and then you had other tag teams that every time you win a title, and then you lose, break up. It's like, so it didn't feel like anything. And then, like you said, then they created a whole tag of women's.
This goes back to this is internal like problems. This is partially misogyny because it's like, oh, we lost the tag team belts, we can't be a team anymore. The only time that didn't happen was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler because they hate each other the whole time, so they didn't need to hate each other anymore when they lost the belts. But that's partially a misogyny thing. It's like, oh, they're not they don't have the belts. Why would they still be team? They gotta hate each other because they're women. That's what the problem is there. That's because men tag teams don't do that. They lose the belts, and okay, the New Day had the belt how many damn times? So.
Yeah. And we see, like, we could name a bunch of tag teams, man. Like, obviously the Usos, they never really broke up. The New Day, we got like even when they was beefing, they had like they didn't break up after they all just kind of kept going to individual stuff. So yeah, like you said, it might be it's a Vince thing.
I need them to decide what they're going to do with the tag teams. Are you going to focus on them or not? If you really legitimately don't want them, then just get rid of the belts.
That's like, what I'm saying, man. Like, don't do us like this because they doing us dirty. Because I want to see women tag team. I
don't need the matches. Then I don't need the teams. Like, just let everyone be single, and then
it's not even just it's both tag team divisions.
It's both.
All 3 tag team divisions.
Yeah, but at least in the men's, like, it's kind of been a staple in the WWE fans. So, like whatever. Like at the end of the day, Kenny, you said something. They should, if any title should be uniform, it should be the tag teams. Period. It should be the male because they don't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They don't with the tag teams. Like on both rosters, unify the men tag team and doing the same thing. What you were saying, Chance, I'm saying both ideas work. Keep brands playing, but have certain tag teams, certain teams travel, which would be the men and women's tag team. But they might as well just get rid of women's tag team because they don't have tag teams. Like they don't have tag teams anymore.
Also, that used to exist and still exists in AEW. Okay, yeah, we're not gonna mention it all the time, but used to exist in WWE is you could be in a tag team and still be a solo wrestler. Like, why is it if I want a singles career, I got to break up from the tag team? Like, they don't allow. Like, we had tag team wrestlers be world champions and like you double belt, all types of things. Not all of that's gone. If you're in a tag team, you only in the tag team division. You don't exist as a single person. What?
Because they did it for the New Day.
To piggyback off that. Jericho came from that mentality of Vince, obviously. So he said that when he was over there with Tony, that he was like, okay, so I think it's time for us to break up in the inner circle. And Tony was like, why do you guys got to break up? And he's like, because we're not together. We're not doing this anymore. He's like, so why can't you guys just be apart? And then when you guys come back together, you come back together. And then I was like, oh, okay.
It's a simple concept. But yeah, Chris had that Vince brain for a little bit.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't like the draft every year. And especially because it's predictable. Like we already pretty much know who's going to Raw and who's going to SmackDown. The ones the ones that we don't know is the ones that are never on TV. And then it's like, oh shit, I didn't. Okay, cool. They're over there.
Not even then, because remember it was a big thing. We're talking about Andrade didn't get drafted. Like they even it's like the last 2 rounds of people we don't know. Everyone else is like, okay, we knew. It's like if anything, it's like why didn't this person get drafted or why happened? Like why did what's his dude's name? They changed his name again. He was Happy Cap whatever Riddick Moss. Yeah, why was he drafted when we saw we saw him on Raw Underground, but that just happened out of nowhere. He was on NXT, barely even that. He was on NXT. Then he appeared on Raw Underground, which there was no draft there, obviously. He's just on Raw Underground. Raw Underground dies, drafts, what was 3 months after that, and then he was drafted. It's like, how the fuck was he drafted? Andrade's not. Who we've seen this guy 2 times, and it was on Raw Underground. So the draft as a staple, like just everything about it is a fair. Like there's not days where it's like the Undertaker is drafted to SmackDown, and now he's pissed in the room. And we're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen now? That shit is gone. It's dead.
Oh, and that's the other thing too. I'm glad you brought that up. Go back to shutting the fuck up. I don't need to know when someone's going to debut. I don't need to know when someone's about to come back after they've been gone 8 months. I don't need to know that Bayley's coming back March 18th. Let me be surprised that Bayley came back March 18th. Like, stop telling me she's coming back.
This is actually I have had this point in both directions. But part of the thing is right with it is since you don't promote anything anyway, like why do you promote returns? Because we talk about like the Legends nights and all those things. It's supposed to be ratings poppers and stuff. So those are ratings poppers when we know Goldberg is coming back. I don't know why that keeps fucking working. But those are rating poppers we know, blah, blah, blah. So why don't you realize that if you promote matches and you make sure that things people want to see, why don't you promote those in advance the way you promote returns in advance? Like it doesn't make it. Because sometimes the returns are not even like, oh, the next Raw. It's like in 2 Raws. Well, what the fuck? If that was the point, it's completely farcical.
You know what advice I have for events in WWE? There's advice that we tell people that when we care about them. You need to take the time to reflect on who you really are and who you want to be.
Facts.
Like if you really want to be just straight up entertainment, then just tell us that and then just go about doing that so we can stop wasting our time. If you actually want to still be considered in wrestling and have us care about you and all the years we spent with you, then make the necessary changes. Like hire actual writers if that's what you still want to do because you don't want to let people do their own thing and make their own promos. Then hire actual writers that can actually write, shoot real segments, have a consistency in the story, and stop one-shotting each program. Like I can't be mad at Kenny on Monday and then next week we're cool. Like,
we can't be like, at the next pay-per-view we're feud. We got a battle, so we got to be in a tag team right before that, which they did 3 times. Like,
and I'm gonna accidentally smack you.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
I figure out what you want to do and then just stay there. Like stop going back and forth. Because all you're really doing, like I said, if you're done with wrestling, cool. Then now we know. But all you're really doing is you're helping the AEWs, you're helping the MLWs, you're helping the PWGs. You're just helping all that become relevant. And supposedly you don't want that to happen, but that's all you're doing because no one wants to watch anymore. Because we'd rather watch, if we're going to watch something fake, then we'd rather watch this that's fake, or rather watch that's fake. Or if we really want to watch wrestling, then we're going to watch the AEWs. You know what I'm saying? Like, just decide what you want to be.
I'm done grabbing on WWE. Before we get to AEW, I got a couple things to say to Ring of Honor, Impact, and New Japan. New Japan, first, I'm start with you. Take Strong more seriously. I know people talk about regular New Japan's booking hasn't been what it's been. Ghetto's getting old, blah, 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 blah. I've heard all that shit from the New Japan hardcore on Squared Circle, Twitter, all that shit when I be doing my deep dives. Yeah, I get it. But same thing I say with AEW about the women's division. If you're only not you're only as strong as your weakest link, because that's actually not true, because people complain about the women's division and still watch the rest of AEW. So with New Japan is, if you want New Japan Strong to be considered serious, you want us to actually worry about the Forbidden Door, blah, blah, consider New Japan Strong serious. I know there's travel problems with, COVID and all that stuff, but book it seriously, because sometimes you could tell they phoned it in some weeks, which is why I haven't been able to get into it for real, which they don't do on regular New Japan, because it's not that they phoned it in. They just, there's things that people just disagree with, which is not the same as blatantly not trying, which you can tell the difference. We've been watching wrestling a long time. Yeah. Impact, bring the crowds. I mean, Georgia don't have that much restrictive laws anyway. Let's be honest. We know how down south doing with COVID. They don't care. So if you open up the building, they're gonna fill it. Open up, do something, or put them on one side. There's just so many different options. We've seen concerts work during COVID. We've seen a lot of things work during COVID. You got to figure out the crowd situation. Put some mics in the stand. Something. We something.
Right. Or do events does, like fill it up with damn audio.
Yeah, because
shit be looking boring.
People are not reacting, and you got actual decent wrestling, actual decent backstage segments. All that stuff is on Impact. The problem with Impact is the crowd now, and it's past stigma of being related to TNA, which is why, they finally killed the TNA belt. It's because they know being attached to that TNA stigma, but embrace because people watch TNA, people love TNA with them. Embrace it if that's the case. Embrace TNA and bring some life back in the Impact.
You know what they should do before you move on? I know you're about to move on. So they went back to the 4-sided ring, right?
Yeah.
So supposedly the 6-sided ring is problems, right? Like it hurts or some shit.
Well, I don't even think that was because it was 6. I think it was because of the way they tightened it. It was harder to wrestle. It hurts, all that shit.
All right. So I think they should keep the 4-sided, obviously. But I think they should have special events like whatever the WrestleMania is or some shit like that. They should have special events to where that 6-sided ring is back for that special event.
I think WrestleMania is Bound for Glory. I think Bound for Glory is the one.
So
I know Bound is a pay-per-view. I don't remember. I think that's their one, though.
Let's say it's Bound for Glory. So for Bound for Glory, I think you should bring the 6 ring back, because then it makes it different.
Or go for just the X Division or something. There's so many things.
Like I gotta watch it this pay-per-view because the 6-sided ring is back.
That'd be dope.
But go ahead.
So Ring of Honor, your New Year's resolution is to come back. You keep telling people you're coming back for sure. I don't believe it because you didn't re-sign anybody. Like, how are you coming back without wrestlers? Because I think the return date is like spring. When you gonna find wrestlers in February or something? I don't understand. So I don't understand how that's going. Now the big one, of course, we get to AEW. You don't got a lot of work to do, AEW. You've been making leaps and bounds in that women's division. Just keep on going. Just pay the attention that you've been paying attention to the men. Because the problem I've had with the women's division lately, because all my other problems are basically gone. They got the roster. Now this TBS belt is not situated yet. Okay, whatever that is. But I feel like since we're gonna have 2 women's belts, obviously I think they're waiting to move to actual TBS. But if we're gonna have two women's belts, it's going to lot less room for whoever doesn't have it. So if you give the belt to, let's say, Jade Cargill, because she's the only main person who doesn't have a belt that I could think of besides like Ruby Soho, you give it to Jade Cargill, then you have Jade Cargill and Britt Baker have it, right? Don't just do those 2 belts and don't book no other women, because I feel like
it's going to go to Ruby though, because she keeps.
I was just saying. Even I'm saying, like, don't give it to give it to Ruby and Britt, and then those don't only book those programs. Like, we don't only see the TNT belt and the world heavyweight belt we see other feuds, there's blood feuds, there's other stuff going on. You got click stuff. Like, do that with the women. Like, give them a little bit more story, a little bit more outside the ring time, and it's not just about belts, because if they only go for belts.
Got an idea. I don't know how fire it's going to be, because obviously you need to fire women for this. Not saying that they don't have it, but obviously we know that they need to improve on certain things. What's one thing that we love about men wrestlers that we always go back to?
Fire moves.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, bigger. What do we always say? Okay, I'll just say it because we're probably not going to get there. Stables.
Right.
We always talk about NWO. We always talk about Bullet Club. We always talk about Undisputed Era. Have we ever seen women's stables?
Not a serious one. Not that I could think of off the top of my head, no.
So what if AEW is the first one to actually introduce women's stables?
That'd be dope. The job done, for sure.
Like a fucking DX women's stable that we talk about for years, or I mean, obviously not them, but just some shit like some cool ass women. Just
I think if we ever gonna see it, because I mean, they might do it to start again. I like women's wrestling. I like women's wrestling as much as men's wrestling, but I'm not watching Stardom because it's only like it's not like if they had like sumo on Stardom or something like that, I'd probably watch it a little bit more, just because it has that little bit of variety. Probably my similar problem with watching lucha because it's all luchadors, which I do like luchadors, but I don't want to watch just that. My thing about wrestling is I like a little bit of everything. Same reason probably New Japan too is for a while they only had that strong style, but they got everything on there. So if you do that with the women, it'll be just that another little bit more flavor. Now you got stables too now. That'd be probably the best thing. Because that's one of the easiest ways you have all those undercard or mid-card battles is they're parts of stables who are beefing. Which goes back to my whole thing with Survivor Series. That's what Survivor Series is great. This guy hates this guy. He went and got a couple people to help him out. They're going to beat each other up in Survivor Series, not Raw versus SmackDown. So that's actually a fire idea. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that.
So with the addition of Tony Nese and shit like that, do you think they're going to be making a cruiserweight division type thing? Or you think they're just there?
I don't think so, because when AEW first came out, a lot of people was like, oh, as opposed to WWE's Land of the Giants, they were like the flippy guys. Which is stupid because Brian Cage was a prominent feature despite my chagrin. So again, I don't think they're gonna do it just because they had that stigma, and you got it. So, but I don't think they need to do it because you probably have to give it a belt. Which again, we have enough belts right now. But I do think we could talk about like, oh, we have enough luchadors or people who wrestle in that type of stuff. Like, because think about it, even Orange Cassidy he wore a mask for a little bit when he was in Shakara. Like, we have enough of those people, those sides of that wrestling style who could probably wrestle in a luchador type of thing. But like, let's say like maybe do a tournament of that style, something like that. Then you'll be like, okay, I'm still getting everything else, and I'm still getting to see these guys. Because again, so we get all that stuff. So I think it's fine.
So since we have that, should we do that and introduce the trios belt?
I think the trios belt is coming once they get to TBS, because TBS is not the first week of. It's like what, January 12th or something.
Because they got a lot of tag teams.
Yeah,
clearly they're focused on tag teams.
Yeah, they're the premier stop for tag team wrestling.
All right, so we have so moving forward, AEW, you have one heavyweight, one women's heavyweight. No, yeah, then TNT, TBS, and then only men's tag team.
Because they had I think part of the reason for that is they had the women's tag team tournament. It didn't go as planned. It wasn't as over. It was mostly on YouTube, and they had to bring people in to do that. Like, there were people there that we haven't seen again. Who, like, there's people who have left, like Diamante left because of their circumstances. I think part of that. So I think they're going to take a little while before they bring the women's tag teams back. But if we do this thing with the stables, then that could speed it up a little bit. So
I think that'd be fire, because one like I said, I've never seen it before. Like, I don't watch every wrestling program ever, so maybe some shit they did in New Japan, I don't know, or maybe some shit they do in some other like company that you watch that I don't, in Miami or whatever. But I've never seen it. So to be on Premiere TV and see some fire ass stable women, like
at the indie shows I've seen, I've only ever seen women part of men's stables, not like a.
That's what I'm saying. So you have just some badass women, like Britt Baker maybe starts the stable with some shit going crazy. That's fire to me. And then two, makes more people interested, especially young ladies, into women wrestling. Obviously, men want to see some fire ass, kick ass females. So I think it. And then, like I said, it's never been done. WWE's never done it.
They're not going to.
Impact's never done it. So why not lead? You want to be the leader of what's going on. Why not do some shit we've never seen before?
I agree.
So that's all I think they need to do. And, we're cool with the big signings. I mean, I think maybe every couple months, do it when we're kind of not feeling it anymore. Like, we're kind of bored a little bit. Then you just boom. Like, oh shit, like such and such is here. Like, we don't need to do the every month thing. Like, I think
we don't even got to do signings though, because we seen like Suzuki came over, he did a couple shows and then he left. So like, because the door is open, we don't got to sign someone for us to see him. So
okay, so that's true. So going forward in this year, let's keep the door open. Like, let's see more of those things.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to sign them, but let's see more people come in that we didn't expect. Like, oh shit, okay, we're about to get this program. It's gonna be fire. Let's do that. But I don't know if we solved the WWE problem. I don't know if it can't be solved, but we tried. I know a lot of y'all watched us and be like, these dudes do not like WWE. Well, we tried.
But we talked about it before. Me and Mike, I said it, you said it, Mike said it. The reason why we go so hard on them is because they're the originators for us. They what got us into the game. We love them so much. We want to do better because we want to be able to watch that. But I can't sit down. I mean, Raw was always long when they made it 3 hours, but I watched it. I either play back now or just catch a recap. SmackDown, I watched it. Now NXT, I had the WWE. I didn't pay for it. Somebody else did. I had the WWE network basically for that. It was pay-per-views too, but NXT I was watching like. So it's like
I told y'all the fact that I'm not watching Roman tells you something.
Yeah, it's not that we hate WWE. We a wrestling podcast, so we still want to talk about. No, we talk about it because we care. Like,
yeah, well, you don't talk about shit you don't care about. So with that being said, you already know what to do. Tune in. Hopefully, your cast is on Geeked Out too, me and Kenny, because he finally watched Spider-Man.
Finally,
but you know we're here. Get the merch. It's in there. You already know. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, get notified. We'll be back. Hopefully, you have a good Christmas, a happy New Year. Be safe. Have fun.
I'll be safe out here.
Doing this next year.